I am your host, Asa Kane. This is our second video of the day. It's a follow up to the first one, talking about Sam Bankman Fried's sudden release from custody today on a $250 million record setting bond. Now, in this video, we're going to be talking about his on and off again girlfriend, Caroline Ellison, and reports saying that she has just pled guilty and has agreed to cooperate with prosecutors. Now, before we do so, if you haven't already, make sure that you hit the like button. That is the thumbs up icon that you see me scrolling over directly underneath the video. It helps to share with others who want to grab hold and some sense of what's going on. Also, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button. That's our icon in the lower right hand corner of your video. It ensures that you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. Now let's get to this. Fair use. This is from Yahoo Finance. And one second here.
A huge development. I mean, if you've been following the case, you know that recently Sam Bankman-Fried has been out there giving speeches, speaking to media, and he's essentially said, look, there may have been mistakes, but I didn't know. I didn't know anything was going wrong. I didn't know that we were using customer funds and sending it to Alameda. Now you have two of his business associates who have pled guilty. They pled guilty to conspiracy charges, so presumably they are going to point the finger at Sam Bankman-Fried.
Presumably, they're going to point the finger at him. You think? Of course they are. That's why it's called cooperating with prosecutors.
And it gives prosecutors a real insight into what was going on, because the case starts out initially with documents and text messages, but now that they're cooperating, you have an insider view into what was going on, so it's a huge development.
Yeah, it's really interesting. How long do you sense that plea deal, that cooperation had been in the works? Because this has moved at lightning speed. Oftentimes these take months, if not years, to get to this point.
I mean, this is just incredible work by SDNY, the SEC, and CFTC in terms of speed. I mean, Sam Bankman-Fried was charged in about a month. These Ellison and Wang signed cooperation agreements. Before those agreements are signed, it's a very long process typically.
Before those agreements are signed, it's a very long process typically. So not a couple of days or a week or even a couple of weeks. So that is letting us know it's been going on for some time.
The cooperation agreement is you meet with the prosecutors multiple times. They check what you've said against other evidence they have to make sure you're telling the truth. Because the idea is when you sign a cooperation agreement, the government is vouching for you. They're saying you're a witness I can put on the stand. And for them to enter into an agreement, they need to have certain indicia that you're telling the truth. And that usually takes quite a while, so that's impressive.
You mentioned the media tour that SBF went on, interviews everywhere. What do you glean from those in terms of what a likely defense looks like?
I don't know at this stage. It's hard to tell.
Is there any defense?
There are still allegations, and we will see. It is interesting that he waived extradition. That's not typical if you're going to mount a vigorous defense. His lawyer down in the Bahamas said that he wanted to make this right. So there is a world in which maybe this is resolved short of trial, but we'll see.
What do you sense in terms of a likely sentence here, if he is found guilty?
It's very hard.
Okay. I'm going to stop it there for the time being. Now, this article is also from Yahoo News, and it was published today, December the 22nd, written by Morgan Chittum. And it says, former Alameda Research CEO Caroline Ellison's plea agreement includes a deal for $250,000 bail and a surrender of the exec's travel documents. Okay, let's look at this. Former Alameda Research CEO Caroline Ellison's plea agreement includes $250,000 bail and an agreement to surrender travel documents. Per the deal, Ellison will not be allowed to leave the continental United States and must forfeit proceeds of the crimes. FTX co-founder Gary Wang also pleaded guilty to fraud charges in connection to the downfall of the crypto empire. Former Alameda Research CEO Caroline Ellison could receive up to 110 years in prison for her role in the fallout of FTX, the once $32 billion crypto empire started by her on and off again boyfriend Sam Bankman-Fried. Ellison, who oversaw FTX's sister Quaint trading firm and later pleaded guilty to 7 charges, including fraud, will not be allowed to leave the continental United States and must give up the proceeds from illicit activities. Wait a second here. Also, the recently unsealed plea agreement says that Ellison must fully cooperate with the prosecutors and law enforcement agencies, along with providing evidence and testifying to a grand jury or at a court trial if asked. The former exec could still receive criminal tax violations due to commodity and wire fraud charges, as the plea does not guarantee that other agencies won't prosecute her in the future. A court will need to agree to the plea deal, however, for it to go into effect. Ellison will be permitted bail if she can pay a $250,000 personal reconnaissance bond. That's a small comparison to his $250 million bond, but let's see here. The U.S. Department of Justice, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, and the Security and Exchange Commission have all announced charges against the two, all of them, accusing Ellison of manipulating the price of FTX's exchange token FTT, which Alameda used as collateral for investments. All 3 executives were active participants in a scheme to conceal material information from FTX investors. And they also used part of these proceeds to artificially prop up the value of FTT, which served as collateral for undisclosed loans that Alameda took out from FTX, pursuant to its undisclosed and virtually unlimited line of credit. That's why I'm highlighting this. They had an unlimited line of credit. You got billions of dollars of other people's money, of course. At any given time, I don't know, it's just too much power for someone to have, for any small group of people. That's my strong belief, and everyone here at CryptoKernels. Now, this is her actual plea agreement. Now, I'm just going to scroll through it here. I will leave a link in the description for those of you that want to read this. As you can see here, it's dated December the 18th. And it states the United States versus Caroline Ellison. And it goes into the different specific counts that she's being charged with. As you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Count 5, as well as count 6, count 7. And you can see all of this here. We are the first to bring this to you. Everything's here, but you got to read it for yourself. I'm not going to read it word for word. Oh, also, now this is from Insider.com. It was published just yesterday. Caroline Ellison, former CEO of Alameda, pleads guilty to charges that carry up to 110 years in prison. Bullet points. Ellison, former Alameda Research CEO, pleaded guilty to charges that carry up to 110 years in prison. Per her plea deal, she has pleaded guilty to 7 charges, including wire and securities fraud. She has also agreed to pay restitution of an amount to be determined by the courts. Okay, here, let's see. Caroline Ellison, the former CEO of Alameda Research, pleaded guilty to charges that carry up to 110 years in prison after striking a deal with the Justice Department. It's not likely that she will serve anywhere near the statutory maximum for the charges she pleaded guilty to because of the plea agreement she struck with prosecutors in the Southern District of New York, dated December the 18th. Now, Ellison faces 7 charges that collectively carry a maximum prison sentence of 110 years. These include conspiracy to commit wire fraud, securities fraud, and commodities fraud. She also faces a charge of conspiracy. She's agreed to waive any defenses to the charges per her deal with prosecutors. She has also agreed to pay restitution, the amount which the courts will decide. As part of the deal, she must fully cooperate with prosecutors, the FBI, and any other law enforcement agencies. She must also provide documents, records, and evidence to prosecutors, as well as testify to a grand jury or at court trials when requested. A lawyer for her did not respond. Of course not. Ellison was the FTX co-founder, Sam Bankman-Fried's on and off girlfriend. She was the chief of Alameda Research, the trading firm Bankman-Fried launched. Also working with him and Ellison was Gary Wang, another co-founder of FTX. And like Ellison, Wang pleaded guilty this week, actually yesterday, Wednesday. In November, Reuters reported that Bankman-Fried secretly moved $10 billion in customer funds from FTX to Alameda Research. It's $10 billion. This is why I'm highlighting this. $10 billion in one transaction or several, I'm not sure, but this is what they stated last month. A large chunk of that money has gone missing, Reuters sources said, pegging the amount between 1 and 2 billion that's currently missing. Bankman-Fried told Reuters he disagreed with the characterization of the $10 billion transfer. No, we didn't secretly transfer, he told Reuters in text messages at the time. We had confusing internal labeling and misread it. You can't make this up. You just can't make this up. Every time I read anything related to this, it's just, also, now this again I'm going to share with you. Hold on one second.
Tell, right? Because that comes down to a lot of things at sentencing. The prosecutors go before the judge, defense counsel goes before the judge. The case has been compared by a lot of people to the Bernie Madoff case. Sure. Bernie Madoff was sentenced to 150 years. By some estimates, this fraud is just as big, if not bigger. So we'll see. But there's a likelihood of some
decades in prison,
some substantial jail time here.
Is this old-fashioned embezzlement, as we heard?
I'm stopping this here because I want to point out something. His bill, $250 million. Bernie Madoff in 2009, $10 million. Trevor Milton, his was $100 million, and Elizabeth Holmes just recently, hers was only $500,000, and I'm wondering why is that? Thousands, tens of thousands of people lost money with her and her lies and her cheating and her fraud. Why was her bill only $500,000? I'll tell you why. Because she got in front of people and she started crying, and they let her go with just that.
Hearing, what does crypto have to do with this crime, if anything?
Well, it is in certain ways, and what you're referring to is John Ray, who now runs FTX post-bankruptcy, said this is basically straight up embezzlement, and that seems right. The idea,
straight up embezzlement. Okay.
Was that Sam Bankman-Fried promised investors one thing and did another with their money. That is the oldest fraud in the book. That's wire fraud 101. What it has to do with crypto, I think crypto has gotten very popular. Crypto is the vehicle for a fraud like this. Because it's so popular, there's so much money there. There's so many cults of personality. So it's part crypto, but it's part just old school fraud.
And
Agreed. Agreed. Part old school fraud. Most of it is fraud. I'm not going to share this again with you. I did so last night. If you have not got, it's just a lot to process, huh? If you have not done so already, get yourself a wallet. If you own any amount of crypto, it's the only way to protect yourself. Ledger is based in Paris, France. They're one of the leading worldwide manufacturers of crypto cold storage wallets. As you can see here, this is their homepage. They got several different models to choose from. Had all of the people that own crypto who had it on FTX's platform, had they had a wallet and actually put their assets on their wallet, all of them would still have their money, each and every one of them. So at this point in the game, if you don't invest in one, you're not going to get any sympathy from me. I mean, you're just not. You're not. So this video has been of value to you. Contribute to the channel. And also, before I forget, make sure if you haven't already, sign up for a Coinbase account, earn some free crypto. We've got a lot more going on here in the next day or two. In the meantime, get in there and make it happen.